What is going on, everyone? I have come to the nature reserve today to do a bit of a review on a camera that I've had for a couple of years now. It's an absolutely legendary camera, and as you've probably seen from the title, it's the Canon M50, which I'm shooting on right now. I'm currently shooting on a 22mm lens, 22mm prime, which is a native EF-M lens, but I will switch over to the kit lens that comes with the camera because that's probably more reflective of how most people will be using the camera. I'm currently recording audio through the Rode Wireless Go, so I will switch to the onboard audio, which I'm telling you right now is terrible, but we already know that. So yeah, it's going to be less about the tech specs and things like that because there's not that much I can tell you about this camera that you don't already know at this stage. It's an OG camera, it's been around for years. We'll look at autofocus and stabilization and things like that, and like I say, we'll go back to the kit lens so you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like out of the box. So let's go. Okay, so I've currently got the camera locked off on a tripod, and there's we've got cloud coverage, but we're not there's no dramatic contrast with trees and shadows and things like that. So let's take a look at what the autofocus does in these conditions. So the autofocus is on face and eye detect, and it's on fully automatic. All the other settings are manual, but we're just looking at the autofocus now. So let's go. Pretty snappy. All we're looking is doing at the response time between when it focuses on the item closest to the camera and back to my face. So let's go for some headphones. Pretty good. Okay, so now let's move on, go under some trees, and we'll look at the autofocus when it's got more challenging light. Let's go. Okay, I'm in kind of a more contrasty environment now. I've got the dark shadows of these trees above me here, and then I've got the overcast sky on this side. So as you can see, it's just lit half of my face. This half is in darkness. How does the autofocus do when it's challenged by contrast? I've actually had to bump the ISO up a little bit because I have got an ND filter on this lens. So I've bumped the ISO ever so slightly. It's still really low, it's at 250 or something like that. But yeah, let's see what the autofocus does in this kind of heavy contrast environment. I mean, I'm moving around and I can see the box is on my face. Holding on for dear life. Hand. Pretty good if you ask me. So like I say, I've not changed any settings on the autofocus. It's literally automatic 100% on the face and eye detect. One more challenge. Let's do a product showcase. So we're looking at these cheap headphones. Not bad. You can see the detail there. Boom. Back to my ugly mug. Now I will do a stabilization test using this 22mm lens as well. Now, the stabilization in the Canon M50 is terrible. It just is. It's very usable on a consumer level, but if you wanted professional footage, then you're going to need a stabilizer, you're going to need some kind of gimbal, or you need to be doing like a really, really good ninja walk with bendy knees. So I'm going to take it off the tripod, I'm going to walk just down this path, and we'll have a look at the stabilization. Okay, so I've dropped the ISO again. If you see like the actual tone of the video changing, it's just because I've got a variable ND filter and I'm just adjusting according to the different contrast of light. So now I'm holding the camera handheld and I'm literally just going to walk forward with image stabilization set to enabled. Okay, so this is just the standard setting, so this is what it looks like. Now, I don't have the steadiest hand and I know that didn't look good. Now let's bump it up to the enhanced. Now we have the enhanced stabilization on. I'll head back towards the tripod and I will show you something that happens when you put the enhanced stabilization on when we get there. Okay, so let's walk. How was that? Okay, I'm going to try a bit of an experiment here just so you guys can see what happens when you utilize the stabilization within the camera. So I literally have this tripod at arm's length. Okay, this isn't a stretch for me, just arm's length. And this is with stabilization turned off. Just remember everything you see in this frame. Now I'm going to go to enabled. Okay, now image stabilization is set to enable. So it's the first stop of stabilization. Remember everything you see in the frame. As you can see, it's punched in ever so slightly. It's still not too bad, still gives a great shot, but you can see that it's punched in, and we're only shooting at 1080. So there's an even bigger crop when you shoot at 4K. So I'm exactly the same distance, arm's length, and this is the frame. Now if we go to enhanced, remember everything you are seeing in this frame. Now we have the enhanced stabilization on, and as you can see, I have not moved, but we have punched in a hell of a lot. So that's the frame for enhanced. So yeah, it's kind of, what do you want your shot to be? Let's go back on the tripod and we'll discuss about this more. I personally have the stabilization set to enabled, which is like the first stop of stabilization. I tend to do a lot more locked off shots anyway, especially when you know that you're dealing with a camera that doesn't have IBIS or anything like that, and if you're not using a gimbal. So it's kind of knowing what your camera is capable of and kind of working around the positives and hiding the negatives. That's the kind of way I would look at this. So I have it on enable just so there's always some level of stabilization, and it just allows me to have a slightly wider frame. So there we go, that's the stabilization. Now let's move on to audio. So one of the first things you're going to want to do when you get this camera is get a third-party audio source. So any kind of microphone, like a Rode Video Micro or a Deity microphone or something like that. You can get pretty decent audio now for under £50, but it's an essential part of your kit when you get the Canon M50 because you cannot rely on the onboard audio. Like I say, I'm recording through the Rode Wireless Go at the moment. That's the audio you're hearing. And if I unplug the Rode Wireless Go and switch to the in-body audio, you'll hear just how bad it is. I'm standing probably 4 foot away from the camera right now, so I'll unplug the audio and I'll step back to where I am now and you can listen to the difference. Okay, so now the audio you are hearing is directly out of the camera. I've bumped up the internal gain to match what it was picking up with my Rode microphone. This is the audio. There's a plane coming over as well, just to make it even worse for you. This is why you need a decent microphone. Okay, back to the Rode Wireless Go, and you can hear what a difference it makes. I don't do much in the way of post-production for audio. In fact, very often I don't do anything. I try to get it dialed in as best I can in camera, or through the camera and into the microphone. So this is definitely a much better, much richer sounding sound that I'm putting off. I could plug in a lav mic to this, or I could get an onboard audio source, like I say, like a Rode Video Micro, or one of the other various onboard video mics you can get now for sub £50. So definitely do that. Let's move on now. Let's change the lens, go to the kit lens so you can see the difference. And what I'll do is I will come out of manual settings. I'll go completely auto, apart from the audio, because we've just explained about the audio, you know how important that is now. But everything else I'll go to completely automatic with the kit lens, no ND filter, and you can see what that looks like straight out the box. Okay, now I am standing the exact same distance away that I was with the 22mm lens. This is now the kit lens. This is 15 to 45, I believe, so a little bit of a wider frame, and I've got the whole thing in fully automatic settings. I don't have an ND filter on. This is literally what it looks like out of the box. What do you think it looks like? Is it any better? Is it any better than how I had it before? Do you prefer the way this looks? This is, apart from the audio, this is exactly what it's going to look like when you turn on your Canon M50 and you fire it up and press record without changing any settings. Let's go down that way and do some more tests. Okay, we are now in a very heavily contrasty situation where there's lots of coverage from trees, and like I say, the overcast sky is sort of breaking through. I'm still in fully automatic. I'm standing about the same distance away that I was before. This lens, this 15 to 45 kit lens, does have stabilization in the lens. So I will take the camera off and we'll do another walk with the stabilization, and I'm going to keep it on the enabled rather than go to enhanced. We're not caring about the crop factor in this one because we've seen what that does. This is more a case of the lens being stabilized with the stabilization in the camera. How does it look? Is it going to be any better? And I'm keeping it at one stop, which is enabled. So let's do that now. Okay, given that this is a bit of a wider lens, I'll do like a vlog style stabilization test where I'm just holding the camera literally at arm's length. I've not got it on a, look, my tripod's there. I've not got a monopod or anything like that. So let's just walk. Just having a hard time exposing my face properly in this fully automatic mode. But yeah, what do you think of that stabilization? This is literally handheld with the kit lens. This is what you can get for your roughly £500 purchase of the Canon M50 straight out the box. What do you reckon? Let's do a walk towards a tripod. Okay, so I think that's everything you really need to know about this camera from like a practical approach to things. Like I said, I could give you all the specs. In fact, here's the specs right here. Look, these are the specs of this camera. People have been speaking about this camera for years and people have been doing far better reviews than what I've just done. But I just wanted to show you in like real life application terms what this camera can do. I'm back on the 22mm lens now, by the way. That's why it looks a little bit different. And I guess now, who's this camera for? That's the kind of main thing, isn't it? That's what you want to know. Should you buy it? I would recommend this camera for anyone who is running a YouTube channel. Literally, like, it's that vast and that wide. If you're on YouTube and you need a good B-roll camera, even a good A-roll camera for your talking heads, this is a great camera for you. Shoots beautiful 1080. It does shoot 4K, but there was no point me shooting in 4K. One, you get a crop factor. Two, you lose the dual pixel autofocus. So this beautiful autofocus here, look, don't let me down now. Boom. It's letting me down. No, we're good. You would lose that if you went to 4K, so there's no point me showing you that, because what's the point of showing you the bad sides? I'm telling you the bad sides. Shoot at 1080 in the right light. It's a beautiful 1080, and it, you know, you can always render up, upscale it, upres it when you edit on your whatever your editing platform is. So yeah, if you're on YouTube, and look, the stabilization thing, you could put a gimbal on it. There is an 11 to 22mm lens, I believe, that's obviously a lot wider. That could be an option with a stabilizer, and then, you know, you could use it as a vlog camera. Ultimately, that's what it's for. It's for content creation and vlogging. It does shoot pretty decent photos, which I'll show at the end of this video. I've been using it as my main photography camera actually for probably about 7 months now. I've had it in my arsenal for 2 years, and I've really been putting it to work for the last 7 months or so as I started getting more lenses. I just, for some reason, I had the kit lens and I didn't upgrade. I just stayed on the kit lens, and I started getting a little bit bored of the camera. But it is, unfortunately, when you start building up and upgrading, you know, I've got a small rig grip on the camera that gives me a better purchase of the camera when I'm holding it. ND filters, different lenses, the road, you know, you just start upgrading things as you go. But that's the other beautiful thing about this camera, is that you can update the lenses. You can obviously put a microphone on, like I say, different grips. There's just so many options to kind of transform the camera to your needs. And I do actually believe that you could probably get away with shooting some really nice short films with this camera, and actually I may give that a go and I may put it on the channel, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, that's who it's for. Stabilization is not great. There is a crop factor. It doesn't have great 4K. Well, in fact, the 4K is nice, but it crops in a lot more. You lose the dual pixel autofocus. So yeah, but look, if you're a vlogger, get this camera, get the 11 to 22mm. In fact, this 15 or the 15mm lens that I just changed to, that's wide enough for most people. If I had it on a decent monopod or decent grip, extended selfie stick, it would be great. You know, I could hold it at arm's length and it was pretty usable. Obviously, like, the closer my ugly mug is to the screen, the worst. But if you've got long arms, then it's a winner. So yeah, if you have a YouTube channel, if you want to make short films, and if you like to shoot still photography, the Canon M50 is a perfect beginner camera. And actually, it's a good intermediate camera as well. And the more you progress through your photography and videography career, this camera just sits in your bag and becomes a B-roll camera, or a top-down camera if you're doing product reviews. It is a great camera, and I recommend it to anyone. If there's anything I missed in particular that you haven't seen on YouTube that you want me to show, please let me know and I'll make another video, and we'll go over all of that. I just wanted to show you a few things out in the field, so to speak. Autofocus, stabilization, and audio. Those are probably the most important things. Megapixels and specs, they don't mean anything. It's about how the camera actually looks and performs. Hopefully I've given you guys a good idea of that now. So yeah, thank you very much. And also guys, if you support this channel, or if you would like to support this channel, follow this link here. Buy me a coffee. It's a great way to keep this channel going, and it's a great way to support independent creators like me. So right here, buy me a coffee. The link will be in the description. It'll be much appreciated. And if you do, I will name you as a coffee producer on the next video. How lucky are you? Thank you very much. See you on the next one. Goodbye. Honourable mention, the battery life on this is actually amazing. I've been shooting with it for about 2 hours now, and it's still showing 100% battery. Obviously that's not the case, but I'm saying the battery's good. Just buy the camera.